I'm Davy. I'm awesome. And welcome to Davy's Awesome Stories, where I tell funny stories from my past or go on a rant in an effort to make you laugh. So I've talked about in several videos that I did stand-up comedy for a minute. I didn't get too far into it. I did it for a few years. Mostly I just did a bunch of open mics here and there. Only did 2 shows where it wasn't open mic. I was just actually asked to come by and be a performer, which was cool. But ultimately it didn't work out. Around the time I was getting married, I just kind of realized wasn't going to be okay with all the traveling involved. Something like this is much more suited to me, because I like to be home. But in my time as a stand-up, doing it for 2-3 years, I did, of course, encounter what pretty much every comedian will encounter if they do it long enough. Hecklers. Yes, hecklers. Usually drunk idiots who either aren't enjoying the show, or even if they are enjoying the show, they just want attention, so they start yelling out random crap, because for some reason comedy is the only thing you can do that in. Like seriously, I used to go to a lot of concerts. If people didn't like one of the bands up, maybe they would leave, maybe they would boo, but I can't think of a time people were yelling insults to the band. I told you I was in drama in high school, but even then, I've been to a lot of plays in my life. If somebody didn't like it, again, leave, maybe boo. Don't remember anybody yelling at the actors, but for some reason in comedy, heckling is acceptable. Fine by me, because honestly, tearing down one of these hecklers was like crack to me. It's even like now, I do a comment corner once a week. I answer your guys' comments. Most of the time, your comments are very nice, but sometimes people are jerks. But it doesn't bother me at all. Like, it kind of irritates me that YouTube censors it a little bit. Like, if somebody says certain keywords that YouTube's algorithm picks up on and says, oh, we think they're bullying somebody, it will block it from even me. I don't have an option to say, no, let it through. Because I would. Those of you who like my stuff, I love you. Those of you who hate my stuff, bring it on. Like seriously, I do not have a thin skin. I've also talked about the kind of friends I grew up with. I was always around the group of guys that we would just sit around insulting each other, trying to make each other cry. And occasionally making one of us cry. Usually though, that'd be the same guy. But what, you think you're gonna get to me? You're not gonna say something worse to me than I heard from my dad? In my 5th birthday card? I kid, but yes, my dad was kind of brutal and insulting. But then again, my dad was an old school tough guy. And not just an old school tough guy, but he was a sailor, and he spoke like one. Don't get me wrong, I believe emotional abuse is a thing, but I can't help but think that some of you guys, when I hear you talking about your experiences in emotional abuse, I can't help but sit there and think like, to you that's emotional abuse, to me that was Easter. So that being said, I'm going to tell you a few times I got heckled, and how I handled it. But before I begin, a word of warning. A couple of the things that I'm going to talk about that I was heckled, what they said was very offensive. Then again, that was probably the point. Hecklers are not PC. Hecklers are trying to offend people. So keep that in mind. These weren't my thoughts. These weren't what I said. These were things they said and how I capped them. The first one I'm going to talk about was actually my first heckle. Like, I got heckled more times than I'm going to put in this actual video, but this was actually the very first one. And it was at an open mic. I was only doing like 2-3 minutes, which I will say, when it came to hecklers, that's what upset me. It was not the fact that they were insulting me or picking on me. It's just that at the average open mic, you only get 3 to 5 minutes tops. So I've got my 3 to 5 minutes worth of stuff to talk about, and you're going to interrupt me. That part is what upset me. Again, another reason I kind of like YouTube is you're not going to interrupt me with your mean comments. It's not live. The video's done. But I remember I'm doing my stuff. I'm talking about how people are ridiculous when it comes to fat people in society. Probably do a video on that later. And this guy, I swear to you, and again, remember, he said it, not me, drunkenly yells out, "Hey, why are you a gaytard?" You heard that right. He called me a gaytard. Which, here's the thing, I told you about my friends. We sat around, called each other some mean things, came up with some interesting things. None of us ever thought of that one. But apparently, according to this guy, not only am I homosexual, but I'm mentally challenged. I am neither of those things. I am straight, and I'm dyslexic, but that doesn't mean I'm mentally challenged. That's just a learning disability. But I kept my composure, I didn't get angry, and when I tried to ignore him, he yelled it out again. Which is kind of how I learned that you can't ignore hecklers, you got to address it. So after 3 or 4 times of him yelling that, I finally responded to him. Sir, I think you need to understand how offensive you are being right now. It's, why are you a gaytard? Why are you a gaytard? That is how you structure a sentence in our English language. That's right, our. Yours and mine. You're offensive on so many levels. You are offending homosexuals. You are offending mentally challenged. You are really offending people who are both mentally challenged and homosexual. That's two minorities in one. They've got enough to deal with. And you are offending everybody who understands proper grammar. Now sit there, drink your beer, shut up, and deal with the fact that you just got owned by somebody who apparently is a mentally challenged homosexual. People didn't laugh, they clapped at that one. The next one was sometime later, different place, open mic night, and in front of me, there was a girl that went up there who wasn't overly funny, but a little bit. She definitely had potential. I hope that she didn't quit after this night. I haven't heard of her since. I don't remember her name. I mean, granted, it could just be she's out there still working and doing good, but just hasn't, made it big time yet. In the middle of her set, she got heckled in a way that, from what I have found, every female comedian has gotten heckled. It is actually a little sad, because after this, many times when I would encounter female comedians and we'd talk a little bit, found out they'd gotten the same heckle before, most of them more than once. Not to mention I've heard story after story from female comedians. They all seem to get this very same heckle that she got in the middle of her 3 minutes, which was some drunk guy yelling, "Show us your boobs!" Yeah, like I said, it's sad that I've yet to encounter a female comedian who hasn't gotten heckled like that. Like, if you're watching and you're a female comedian, if you haven't gotten heckled like that, please let me know that at least one of you did not get heckled like that, because I haven't found it yet. And she probably was a new comedian, like I was during my first heckle. She just ignored him the entire time. Didn't say a single word. Just continued for the rest of her minute or so, while he just kept yelling over everything she said, "Show us your boobs!" Just over and over and over and over again. Like, I don't remember anything she said after that point, because you could barely hear her over this drunk idiot yelling the same thing. Finally, her time was up. She gets off the stage, and she makes a beeline to the bathroom. I saw her a minute or so after my 3 minutes, and you could see her eyes were red. She'd obviously been crying. Some of you may be like, why the bathroom? Why not backstage? This was a little open mic. We didn't have a backstage. But I was next, following this crap. They announce my name. I get up. I grab the mic. And before I can get a single word out, this guy goes, "Hey, fatty! Show us your boobs!" So I did. I'm not going to show you guys in the video, but I just, went whatever. Lifted up my shirt and let everybody see my moobies. People laughed, people clapped, and then when it settled down, I was like, yeah, thank you, sir. It's nice to get appreciation. This took years and years of cheesecake. Your turn. Come on. You got some jigglies there, too? Get up, let them rip. Of course, he just stays seated as people are looking at him and laughing. Doesn't say anything, kind of gives me a dirty look. Oh, so not you? You're going to sit there and ruin that last comedian's entire set and try to ruin mine with that crap? But you're not going to man up? Okay, sit there, drink your beer, and cry to yourself like you made her do. Again, there was applause. Then I just did my jokes for the rest of the 3 minutes and got off stage. When it came to me and the hecklers, I didn't always win. In fact, one time I lost bad. It was an open mic, but this time I had 10 minutes, which is almost unheard of in all the open mics I ever did. The only reason it happened was because at one point, the guy who was running it, I guess he was the manager of the place, walked around to everybody who had signed up and said, hey, not a lot of people showed up, so everybody, you can have 10 minutes. Which I was excited about, because at this point, I had done nothing but open mics. It was a little later that I would actually get the couple of shows that weren't open mics. And like I said, most open mics, you get 3 to 5 minutes. That's it. Which to me personally, I like to make a connection with the audience, and it's kind of hard to do that in such little time. And honestly, at this point, the only other time I had ever gone more than 3 to 5 minutes, I think I was supposed to, but it was a very poorly run open mic where they didn't really monitor it. They didn't tell me how much time I had. They didn't shine a light at me, nothing. They just kept letting me go until the point I was like, I think I've been up here for over 20 minutes. I probably should wrap this up now. Again, it's just a very poorly run open mic. But I had 10 minutes and I was like, yay, I'm going to get 10 minutes. About halfway through. I'm doing my jokes. I'm talking about stupid warnings like I've done videos about. And this guy, of course drunk, pretty much every one of the heckler situations I dealt with, they were drunk, yells out, "Your mother's a whore!" Don't know why he had to bring her into this. Now some of you have been watching, you're like, oh, that's messed up, your mom's dead. She wasn't at the time. This was way before she passed away. She was alive and well. She was alive. But my brother and I have also made jokes before and made it clear my mom would be cool with it. My mom could take a joke. And I didn't get upset about it. Just right after he yelled it, I went, "What, you trying to get a price or something? We'll conduct business after the set. I tried to get business on your mom, but she ain't here. She's too disappointed in her drunk son." Which I thought at first, yay, owned him. But then he yelled out, "My mother's dead. And yeah, she was disappointed in me. She died before I could ever make things right." That was basically me and the entire audience. It just got quiet. I still had like 5 minutes left on my set. And honestly, I didn't want them. Because what was I going to do in that point? After that and this long pause, I was just going to sit there and be like, So you guys ever notice that on the back of a Hot Pockets box, it warns you that they're going to be hot? Like, there was just no going anywhere from this. He's sitting there kind of crying to himself. Just dropped a really sad bombshell on everybody. So after what felt like an eternity of quiet, I just kind of went, well, I guess you win this one. Do you guys even want to still be here? Because I don't. I got a little bit of a chuckle, but the mood was kind of dead at that point. So there you have it. That's my story video this week. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you did, make sure to hit like, hit subscribe, hit that little bell so you get notifications for when I post the videos, and leave a comment. Heckle me if you want to. Just don't get that sad with it. Love you guys.